What's up, you guys? This is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be having a little bit of a chat about all of the game modes that I've stopped playing and why. Now, originally this video was going to be a Wabiki, aka a Wouldn't It Be Cool If, to kind of offer up some suggestions as to what DE could do to zhuzh up these game modes, but honestly, it was taking up a lot of my brain power, and I'm like, listen, if you want me to invest that much work, you can go ahead and pay me a consultation fee. Regardless, let's go ahead and jump on in. Now, I'm going to start with the first and most obvious one. We have arbitrations. Ever since that they went ahead and introduced the whole revival mechanic, I was just really soured on the game mode. The fact that they kind of like had this feature where they're like, oh my god, you know, we're gonna let this scale properly now. I'm like, oh thank god, we're finally getting the challenge that we deserve. But we're also going to be introducing burdens to make things harder for you when your teammates suck and they die. And I'm like, what? So you know what we're gonna say to the god of arbitrations?
Not today.
Moving along, we have Arkwing. So this is one of the big topics that I wanted to chat about today because I genuinely like Arkwing as a standalone mode. Not like out in the plains, not out in the orb, really just playing Arkwing by itself. And let me tell you, it hurts my heart. Now, originally when Arkwing was launched, they had a really good movement system, and honestly, when I saw Arkwing initially, I was like, I'm not gonna like this. This is gonna be gutter trash. Like, I don't like weird space mobility things. It's gonna be a pain. But once I actually started playing it, I was like, wow, this is super duper good, especially in their old movement system. Now, they do have like a switch that you can flip to go back to the old movement system, because the current one that they have now is it's a little bit more it flows a little too much. And when I say flow, I want to say it kind of carries momentum a little bit too much, and you can kind of turn that off a little bit, but there's still the whole being upside down thing, and I don't think that there's a really like convenient way to correct that. So that definitely put me off. But the biggest thing that I want to go ahead and point out, and this is going to be nuts, the last time that they added a new Arkwing and new augments into this game mode was July 8th, 2016. Yo, it's 2019 right now. Can you honestly tell me that like Warframe would still be alive if they had not put out more Warframes? Like if they hadn't put out a Warframe since 2006, game would be gone. So in my brain, I'm like, you can't sit here and say, well, Arkwing is dead, no one plays Arkwing. Well, it's because you don't support it. You can't have a game mode and expect it to thrive, but don't put in a new Arkwing since 2016. In fact, that's the last time augments were released for the Arkwings, and the Amisha, which was the Arkwing that was launched there, doesn't even have an augment for it yet. So part of me is like, what is going on? And I'm thinking in my head that that might have also been the last time before the most recent Hildren update, where they added an arc gun. So a part of me is like, wow, you haven't supported this game mode for 3 years. Do you really expect us to be hyped for it? So hopefully Railjack brings in like the cavalry when it comes to Arkwing, because honestly, we have not seen very much for quite a long time. Now we have gotten some mods for it, but to be completely honest with you, I don't really feel like any of them are like weapon changing mods. Like, I don't know if you guys were around enough in the old days when we first got the Sohma, like all y'all dedicated players that have been here for a while, you know, when you saw the Sohma's base stats, you're like, why is its base damage so low? And then you realize, oh, it's got some good crit, and you're like, wait a second. If I put this crit mod on, and I put this critical damage modifier on, this makes the weapon a beast. We don't have any of those mods, I feel, for Arkwing weapons. We just kind of like sit there and I'm like, oh, well, just slap in the damage ones when you can, and maybe a couple status or like a crit one here and there. None of these statistics on those mods are big enough to really swing a weapon in one direction or another to make them interesting. So that's also another thing. That's one of the reasons why Arkwing, I think, also hasn't popped off, because all of the mods, as compared to Warframe mods and weapon mods, are so like bland. So hopefully they go ahead and do a little bit of something, show a little bit of love to Arkwing, because I definitely think it's a great game mode that I don't play. Moving along, this next one is kind of like overarching and branches off into several different areas. Syndicate stuff. I don't play Syndicate stuff. Now, here's the thing that really bothers me about it is the last thing that they really introduced to the base Syndicates are Captura scenes. It has been so freaking long since we've got like a new true Syndicate weapon, right? In the latest ones in arbitrations, they gave us what you call Telos skins, and a part of me is like, listen, y'all made the skin, y'all could have added some, like, changed up the stats just a little bit, and boom, that could have been another weapon. But instead, you just made them skins. Like, I don't quite understand what's going on. But that definitely reminded me of the fact that we haven't had a new Syndicate weapon in such a long time. We haven't had Syndicate armors. Remember when we were talking about that way back in the day when we had the Syndicate Syandanas? No Syndicate armors, nothing unique and truly different for them. All we have is Captura scenes and maybe some of the, what do you call this? I don't even think that there's, because I was going to say, I think that there was some ship patterns, but I think that that might just be purchasable on the market. So for those of us who actually want combat or progression, we're at a standstill on the base Syndicates. Like, they haven't done jack shit in such a long time. Continuing that trend, Samaris. I mean, y'all like your ship decoration so much. Can't y'all give us a ship decoration that lets us port directly into the simulacrum instead of having to go through the relay and then going fast travel, then going ahead and zoning again? I mean, I don't like IKEA frame, and I genuinely think it's a waste of my fucking time. If I can't bring it into a battle with me and like show off, look, I got a cool skin for my gun, look, I got a cool alternate helmet or an armor set or a Syandana. If I can't bring it into battle with me and it's just sitting there on my ship, I'm not interested. But I would be interested in a simulacrum key for my orbiter. So that's definitely one of the things that I'd like to see there, and I don't think that I've seen anything from Samaris in a long time except for the alternate game mode things that you can kind of put in the arcade. I mean, cute and fun, but again, no actual like combat or progression, which definitely hurts my heart a lot because, you know, these Syndicates have been there for a while, and there's so many of us that are like, that's my Syndicate, that's the Syndicate that I belong to. Next thing that kind of like fits into the whole Syndicate theme are the orbs, and to a lesser extent the Eidolons. But the orbs, why? Why do I care about the orbs? All they do is really provide you some standing, provide you some materials. Now, I know that there might be some people farming Hildren and they need her parts, but legitimately for me, I'm like, okay, so I get standing off of this. Standing for what? Like, we haven't gotten any new Zaw parts. We haven't gotten any new kit gun parts. I thought we were supposed to see kit gun primaries at some point in time. I mean, even if it's just as simple as getting a new Exodia or a new... Oh my god, what's the thing that's not an Exodia, but it is for the kit guns? You know, the Paxes? So an Exodia, a Pax, like introduce one of those like maybe every month to kind of give us a reason to go back into those zones. Because legitimately for me, I don't go into the planes really. Like, I understand that it's nice because from the Eidolons you can at least get arcanes, so that's why I'm saying to a lesser extent Eidolons, but more to a larger extent the orbs, because I mean, I'm gonna do like some ephemera runs for you know, frost poops, but after I get my frost poops, I'm out. There's really no reason for me to be there anymore when it comes to fighting these big speed airs unless we get like a cool new Pax to go back and grab, right? And I'm like not doing any conservation because I mean floofs are cute, but I can't bring a floof into combat or battle with me, so that's not a thing that's gonna happen. So for me, like really the, I guess you would call them Syndicates overall, are just like at a standstill. I'm like, I don't even... Do I need these? Like, I think the only thing that I really need now is to just go ahead and grab a little bit more standing for a cave drive, and that's pretty much it. And I'm done. I'm done with my masteries, so that's definitely a big oof for me. Now, there is another one that I wanted to mention. I feel like this is for a lesser extent because I do see the value in this. But actually, we're going to skip over that one. We're going to jump to the index. Because the index is something that, you know, whenever they do the Nightwave missions, I really kind of enjoy playing it. I kind of really like the index. But the issue is, there's no rewards. It's not a rewarding game mode to play unless you need credits, or maybe some of the mods that come off of the rare guys. By the way, I heard everybody saying on the Nightwave, listen, it's a good way to get the rare mod mission done. So thank you for all of that information, and maybe I'll use it one of these days. But legitimately, what does the index give a dedicated player? Or is it just like one of those things that's now just a throwaway? You're like, okay, well, you've done the index, move along. Same thing for the arenas. Like, what in the arenas is worth replaying aside from endo? You know, one provides good endo, one provides good credits, but aside from that, for the dedicated player base who doesn't need any more endo and who is drowning in credits, what's the point to go back? Is there a way to utilize these game modes? And honestly, this is kind of like why it didn't turn into a wiki, because I sat there and I'm like, is there a way to utilize these game modes? And in my head, I'm just kind of like, well, I stopped playing them. And that's like the end of that. Now, the next one I do see some value in, and I do think that this is a good game mode for some people, but definitely not something for the super dedicated player base who has, you know, farmed all of the primes that they need to farm, who's finished their focus. But ESO, the last time they introduced something new in the reward pools for ESO, aside from ephemera, was May 17th, 2018. It's almost been a year. And there has literally been no new rewards added into ESO whatsoever. And I'm just like, and that was Peculiar Growth. That was the last thing that they added to ESO a year ago, was Peculiar Growth. All right. Now, of course, y'all know I still am getting screwed by RNGesus, so I got to go and run through and grab my blazing, you know, my fire feats. Listen, I don't remember the names of things. But legitimately, so I still think it's a good place for focus and relics for the people who are still trying to catch up to like the more dedicated player base. So great on them, but like, why can't you give some love to the rest of us too? The people who stuck with you, the people who've been grinding for ages, the dedicated player base who literally is like trying to find things to do when there is nothing else to do, and y'all haven't released content for a while. So like, drop us a couple little rewards here and there to make it worth our time. Now lastly, and this one is a little bit weird. This one's a little bit off kilter, but I just don't do assassination missions. And the only reason that I wanted to bring this up is because there are some assassination missions that are legitimately really fucking cool. And specifically, I was thinking of the one for, oh my god, Cruella de Vil lady. You know who I'm talking about, the Kayla de Thame. Kayla de Thame, which really sounds very similar to Cruella de Vil. Doesn't it? It kind of a little bit reminds you of it, but yeah, no. So Kayla de Thame's fight is really fucking cool, but I'm not gonna, as some of the people have said on the D, you play it for the sake of playing the game. Bitch, I got the gym to go to. I got dishes to wash. I want to go ahead and rewatch as much Game of Thrones as possible and embed those moments into my brain forever. Because legitimately, you can't just tell me to play a game just to play the game, you know? But that's just my thought process behind it. But yeah, there are some really cool assassination missions, and I know that they're like working on some more, and technically maybe you could think of the orbs and the eidolons as assassination missions. There's just nothing that I need from them whatsoever, so part of me is sad because I don't get to, you know, murder old friends. But regardless, those are the missions that I've stopped playing and why. I'm sure that there are plenty more that I've stopped playing. The only thing that I really get into is like Kuva Survivals, Kuva Floods, kind of like, you know, the instant difficulty of Kuva Floods is always fun, and then, you know, the long durations of Kuva Survivals are also great. And then, of course, you crack relics and some fissures. Those are really the only things that I actively play. Everything else is just kind of dead and dry like the Sahara Desert. But go ahead and share down in the comments below what game modes you've stopped playing and why. And maybe if you've got any good ideas as to what they could do with it, I don't know, toss that down there too. But that about does it for me for now. And, you know, here's to hoping that DE will turn things around, bring some life back into these desert sands. Regardless, as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.